at all.
Right.
Anyone can create a document.
I'd be curious what, well, we'll just leave it to the Historical Society. Here's the other thing, too. It was the Historical Society book, and it's
Yeah.
their,
Yeah. I mean, but I know that they would not put wrong horse. Because I know how hard they work to get everything.
right? Yeah.
Is there anything here?
No.
Oh, that's your stuff.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, Lydia.
Oh, hi. Hey, you heard me?
Hey, Erica.
Yes,
So do you have a copy of the proclamation?
I was sent a copy. I can find it before the meeting, yes.
Okay, I will work on telling you what paragraphs you're going to read, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Is yeah, okay, bye.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna have to get you from the other side, I think.
Okay. Amy is gonna give me a plug-in for my.
Oh, very good. Oh, okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Somebody got a haircut. The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We've got, this is for purposes of the study session for Sound Transit project updates. We are going to have, we've got the agenda says we're going to have a staff update by Kent Smith, Sound Transit Liaison, Federal Way Link Extension, and Operations and Maintenance Facility. And we'll have a project update from Andrew Austin, South Quarter Director, and Kirby Hawkins, Project Development Director, also regarding the Tacoma Link Extension. So I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
Recording in progress.
Again, I'm Kent Smith, the Sound Transit Liaison with the Public Works Department. Just a short update on Federal Way Link Extension, just to follow my typical updates at LUTC. And then I'll introduce Andrew and Kirby to talk about Tacoma Dome Link Extension and Operations and Maintenance Facility South. So Sound Transit and their contractor Hewitt have begun phase closure of 23rd Avenue South in the city center in support of the last roadway construction for the station. The first phase is scheduled to continue through July, with additional work all the way through the end of the year, and then some more to follow. At this point, I don't have a date for when they expect revenue service to start. They're still waiting on some issues with their Longspan Bridge they're constructing outside of city limits. So as soon as that happens, I will update though. And then I just wanted to open it up to any questions for Federal Way Link Extension that you guys might have.
Why don't we do the presentations, then we'll do the questions after that.
Okay.
Okay,
sounds good.
thank you very much.
So then here is Andrew and Kirby to give you a couple updates.
Thanks, Kent. So I'm just going to introduce the topic that we're updating you all on today. My name is Andrew Austin. I'm the South Corridor Government and Community Relations Director, and Kirby's going to do most of the talking. We'll tag team for discussion and Q&A at the end, but basically we'll be...
Oh, God, I didn't share the screen.
Okay. I'll keep chatting while Kent's doing that. Basically, we're going to update you all on the Tacoma Dome link extension and the current online open house that's out in the public for some additional alignments in the South Federal Way and Fife areas. And then we'll just be giving a general project update for Operation and Maintenance Facility South, and then take questions and discussion. So with that, I will turn it over to Kirby.
All right, good afternoon, folks. I'm Kirby Hawkins, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for inviting us here to provide an update. I know it's been a while since we've been here, but I will tell you, we've been here often meeting with your staff, and you have a terrific staff that we've been working with, and part of those meetings we're going to update you on today. So thanks again for inviting us. And I'm going to start with the Tacoma Dome Link Extension project, but as mentioned, I'll cover both this project and the OMF South project. So starting out on TDLE, as a reminder, the TDLE project will extend Link Light Rail service from the current project that's under construction in the downtown station area to Tacoma. This project includes a 10-mile extension, and it includes 4 stations, one of which is the South Federal Way Station. So the project currently is going through a DEIS effort, which is a draft environmental impact statement. Sound Transit's been developing the draft DEIS since 2019. At that time, the Sound Transit Board identified a preferred alternative and other alternatives to study in the draft DEIS. These alternatives include a single guideway alignment in South Federal Way and a single station location as well in Fife. And we'll focus on those 2 areas today. So on this slide, you see the routes and stations that are currently being studied in the draft DEIS. And this is a map that we've shared previously. It's also on our online on our website. Through the preparation of the draft DEIS, the project team has developed a better understanding of 2 resources along the corridor that require additional study in Fife and in South Federal Way. This month, we'll have an item at the Sound Transit Board that will be in consideration of action to add additional alternatives. One additional alternative on PAC Highway, Pacific Highway, SR 99, between South Federal Way and Milton, and additional station options in Fife that will be studied in the draft DEIS. We've begun having community engagement activities to bring awareness of this, as well as more information, and we'll brief you on that today. So looking at the South Federal Way segment, this map illustrates the current route alignments and stations being studied in the draft DEIS in a little closer detail, focusing on the South Federal Way segment. As previously mentioned, there's a preferred alternative alignment and other alternatives that are being studied in this area. The preferred alternative alignment is identified by the green alignment on the map. As the board identified the preferred alternative, it was reflected through early consensus with the City of Federal Way, the Puyallup Tribe of Indians, and other partners within the agency, and other partners and agencies. So there's 2 stations also identified in Federal Way and 1 station option. The preferred alternative station location is at Enchanted Parkway at 352nd. There's also an option to span at 352nd, and then there's an alternative location at I-5, which is identified as SF I-5 station as well. So through the progress of design and environmental review, Sound Transit identified the need to study an additional alternative through the South Federal Way station area through Milton. The alternative alignment would avoid potential constructability issues and impacts to cultural resources in the vicinity of I-5. Sound Transit conducted a screening evaluation of potential additional alternatives using measures from our early alternatives development process. This work was done in collaboration with city staff, the Puyallup Tribe of Indians, the city of Milton, as well as other agencies. So this map that you see illustrates the proposed alternative that performed the best through the screening work. This proposed alternative, which is identified here in purple, would use portions of Pacific Highway and State Route 99, generally south of the Enchanted Parkway Station, and would also require adjustments to the location and configuration of the Enchanted Parkway Preferred Station alternative. The alignment in South Federal Way and Milton would be considered for board action to be added to the EIS for study. This alignment is similar to an alternative that was developed through the Phase 1 alternatives development process. The proposed board action would also modify the preferred alternative designation in the South Federal Way segment as well. So it would modify the preferred alternative to only include a preferred alternative north of the, in the north portion of the alignment. The southern portion, which is generally south of the South Federal Way Station area, would continue to be studied in the draft EIS as an alternative, but would no longer be designated as the preferred alternative. This would allow the board to identify a preferred alternative after the additional alternatives are studied, and the public, city, tribe, and other agencies can provide feedback as we complete the draft EIS. So as mentioned, the potential alternative would also require adjustments to the location and configuration of the Enchanted Parkway Station alternative. So this map provides a bit of a zoomed-in view of the perspective of the station area, which again, the new alternative is identified in purple. The proposed board motion would result in there no longer being a preferred alternative station location. However, all 5 station areas, locations that you see on the map here would be studied equally in the EIS. So with that, I'm going to continue on to give you a quick update in Fife as well. Our board will be taking action in the Fife area as well. And so I'll brief you on this quickly. In Fife, the board did identify one preferred alternative as well. The station location reflected a consensus amongst the Puyallup Tribe of Indians, the city of Fife, and other partners as well. This station location was in the Fife's designated, the Fife's future city center area, and it's also within a FEMA designated floodplain. Through development of the draft EIS, we've learned more about the limits and details of the floodplain in this project area. So there's risk with only one station being within this floodplain area, and there were no other alternatives that were in the draft EIS. So as a result, we are proposing additional station options that would be outside of the floodplain for further evaluation, also in the draft EIS. And so this map shows those potential station options as well, 54th West Station as well as 54th Span Station. And the preferred alternative station would continue to be studied in the draft EIS, but the additional station options will provide the board an opportunity to carefully consider options outside of the floodplain. And so to update you on our community engagement activities, on February 27th, we began public engagement to provide updates on the project, with opportunities for feedback amongst on these station options in Fife, as well as the alternative in South Federal Way. So an online open house provides details of what I presented today for public review. Mailers were sent to addresses for tenants, businesses, and residents within the corridor, as well as an expanded area. We've also reached out directly to property owners and businesses along the alternative as well by phone, just to make sure that they're aware of this new information as well. We will start drop-in sessions. In fact, there is one happening very soon in Milton, and then next week we will have a Federal Way drop-in session at the Federal Way Community Center, as well as in Fife as well. And these are opportunities for the public to come and speak directly to staff if there's any questions or additional comments or information that they're seeking as it relates to these. We've also sent toolkits and other information to other community-based organizations to help us spread the word and to share the information with the community. So as far as the next steps that you see on your screen, again, we are conducting our public engagement. As mentioned, on March 23rd, our board will take action on the additional alternatives to study in the draft DIS. Once that action is taken, if the board approves that action, we will then continue the additional analysis on these new alternatives and station options. Our next kind of milestone after that would be in the mid-2024 timeframe. That's when the draft DIS would be published and a formal comment period will initiate. And then after which the board will take action to modify or confirm the preferred alternatives. To bring these additional route and station options up to the same level of evaluation, there would be a delay of the draft DIS again to 2024. This would also impact the start of service for the Tacoma Dome link extension, and we now anticipate opening in 2035. So now I'll provide an update on the OMF South project. Switching gears here. We provided a update on this project in the past. These are slides that this is a slide that you likely remember seeing before. As a reminder, the OMF South is also in an environmental phase of effort as well. The operations and maintenance facility will serve the entire link system. It's a project that will store 144 light rail vehicles, but also have other functions to keep the link system running and operating efficiently. The facility will also generate 470 living wage jobs as well. So as we are studying this, we're looking at 3 potential sites, and those are identified as you see on the screen here, a site at the Midway landfill in Kent, as well as 2 sites in Federal Way. One is the South 336th Street site, which is the preferred alternative. The board did identify that as the preferred alternative. And then we're have an additional site at South 344th Street as well. So this map provides our current design layout for the preferred alternative site, which is at South 336th Street. Considering the city of Federal Way's letter that was sent to Sound Transit during the DEI scoping period regarding the 20th Avenue Street vacation, which was not in our previous design, we have been working with city staff and sharing concepts addressing the need of a street vacation for this site. And this concept that you see is the design that we've landed on. So we are proposing a new through street to the west of the project site. This would be a street that would be a replacement for 20th Avenue. And it would be, in essence, an extension of 18th Place. As we've advanced the design and included this new through street, we're now impacting more parcels as it relates to the site size on the southwest portion of the site. So this new street does have the benefit as well, is we're looking again to allow that through input between 336th and 341st. As the design continues to advance, we're still early in the design effort here. Of course, there could be some future adjustments as well. The site itself does need to provide a connecting track if this is identified as the project to be built. This connecting track would need to connect to the end of the Federal Link extension line, and that track would be built regardless to whichever site is built, because that track would then be the future Tacoma Dome Link extension, what we call our main line track. So the track construction, as part of that, would connect again to the end of the Federal Way extension line. Additionally, we would need to we are planning to build a test track that would provide additional support for our growing fleet of light rail vehicles. So our fleet size will grow from 214 vehicles to 464 vehicles by the year 2041. All of our vehicles, when we receive them, have to go through a level of testing and commissioning. And a lot of that testing and commissioning obviously has to take place on track. And the way that we do testing and commissioning now is a little constrained because you would need to do it and not impact the revenue service. So the testing would normally be done at nighttime, most of it. And by having this additional test track, that enables us to be more efficient in our testing and allow us to test throughout the day. So the need to construct this connecting track is going to require us to enter the project into washed out right-of-way. And because of this, there's federal approvals that are involved in with this project. At the time of the DI's publication, as we went through the federal approvals process, we anticipated working with the Federal Highway Administration. Since that time, there's been a change in federal requirements, and now we're trying to work closely with federal partners to determine who our federal lead will be working with us on this project. The level of documentation, depending on who our federal lead is, could be different, and that's still to be determined at this point. Either way, there are implications to the project schedule, and once we get clarity on who our federal partner is, we'll have more information to share about the overall project schedule. So with that, I think that is the end of my discussion. I felt like I've talked a lot here. So I'm going to have Andrew help me out with any questions or discussion.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Seffa Dawson?
Got it already. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for the presentation. I have 3 questions. One is with the Tacoma Light. Because of the delay, is it going to have to go back to the public on the ballot for people to vote on additional funding?
The short answer to that is no. So this delay is really being driven by the planning-related challenges that Kirby mentioned, and is not connected to funding challenges. So while the 99 alignment, if it was chosen, does have some increased costs, we were confident still within our financial plan, so it wouldn't require additional vote. So it's all within the purview of our board being able to modify picking the project and modifying the timelines, so it wouldn't require another vote. And it's really the planning work driving it, not the finances.
Right, so even with cost increases, which are going to be, that's going to be inevitable?
Yeah, our board and once we advance this work, we'll have a better sense of what the cost impacts are, both for the additional alternatives and just taking more time. It costs more because money gets more expensive over time with inflation and whatnot. So it will have an impact on our financial plan, which our board will have to assess, but they'll be able to do that once we continue to advance the work.
So that will not derail or change plan at some point in this process?
At this time, we think it'll still fit within the financial plan is our assumption. And we'll know more once they advance the work, yeah.
Can I ask my other questions, Mayor? With the OMF, do you have a map or something we could see north of the site to see who gets impacted? I work right there too, so I'm curious.
Yeah, we can share one. We don't have one with us today, but we definitely could send one over to the city for you to look at.
That'd be great. And then with the livable wage jobs, I would love to see a job fair here when you're ready to roll this out.
Yeah, it's a great point. It'll be a while from now. We definitely will want to work with the city to find where we can find partnerships for hiring folks from the community here. A lot of those, just as a reminder, in our current operating structure, a lot of those over 470 jobs would actually be King County Metro employees, and then some would be Sound Transit employees. So that will definitely be an important joint effort between us and King County Metro and you all and other community partners in the school district and whoever else, because they are great county jobs.
Well, then in that case, it does not change who gets hired. I mean, if it's already Metro and Sound Transit employees, then really hearing about the 470 doesn't matter.
Oh, it's new jobs. It'd be new positions. Yeah, it's just it's all new positions. It's just a lot of those new jobs will actually be King County Metro jobs because they run our rail operations, and then it'll be new Sound Transit jobs too. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Deputy Mayor Honda?
Thank you. I was going to ask about the jobs, if they were all new, or if you would be transferring people here, so that's nice that they're new jobs. I hope that a high percentage of those new jobs go to people who live here in the Federal Way area, and I believe we've talked about this before. On the, coming from the end of the line, going to the OMF South, you're going to be going through Belmore Park. And I know I've asked you this before, but as soon as you know, or the board has decided how you're going to go through Belmore Park, it would be really great to tell those property owners, the homeowners there, that they're being impacted because the cost of money is going up. And it'll be harder now than it was even last summer when I know that they asked for notification because interest rates were so much lower last summer. But as soon as you know, it would be great to let them know so they can plan, because they're in limbo, and they've been in limbo a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a good point. And we've been working with both the Belmore Park owners and then also the Residents Association in constant communication. So we'll keep that up and give them all the information we can as soon as we have it, because we know that's a concern just that's out there for those that would be impacted. And then just as a reminder, any that if they were impacted, they'd be part of our relocation program, which would really help them figure out alternative housing. But of course, they want assurances as soon as they can, so totally understand that.
I have two more questions. For the program on the 14th here in Federal Way, is that you just drop in and you guys going to have a table and you'll answer questions? There won't be a program where you're speaking to the whole group at one time?
That's right. Yeah, it's more of an informal time to drop in, talk to staff, see stuff, and look at the maps in more detail, ask questions, and give us comments and/or give us written comments. And I believe we chose that time because there's a lot of the community center told us there's a lot of in and out traffic at that time too. So in addition to folks who seek us out, we hope to just catch some folks who happen to be there too.
I'm hoping that the city will notify all the residents in Federal Way about this, because I know Sound Transit only notifies a certain amount. And then my last question is, at the new station in the south, the garage isn't going to be built when that station is open, is my understanding. So now with the delay in going south to Tacoma, is there a delay in when the garage is going to be built?
No, no, there is not at this time. The plan is still for the garage to be, or the parking spaces to come online in 2038. So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Councilmember Walsh?
Right, thank you for your presentation. A couple of questions. First, with the new proposal for the Tacoma Link along Pacific Highway, would it be on the east side or west side of Pacific Highway?
We will look at both alternatives, either east or west, and we'll be working closely with the city and obviously the community to try to identify which is the better performing east or west. So,
And,
long answer short is it could be either.
Yeah, so, and along with that, the city has plans of doing a big roundabout on Pac Highway at 373rd. Would it impact how we would want to do that roundabout?
Yeah, I would just say real quickly, yeah, we are aware of the roundabout, and as we've been working with city staff, we've talked about how the interaction between a light rail alignment and that roundabout will play into each other. So we're still very early, it's conceptual, but we're aware of the roundabout. So.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, Council President Kochmar.
Jack Dovey was first.
You first.
Thank you. Back to the community center meeting. 8 to 10 a.m. is a very difficult time for many of our residents to be able to get there, particularly if they're taking children to school. Is there any way you can make that later in the day?
I think at this point, we can't move it. We chose that time hoping to capture the most, get in front of the most folks who are coming in and out based upon the programs they told us about. I will say, though, that if there's folks who aren't able to come to that, who want to meet with Sound Transit staff, we're happy to set up time to brief them, and/or we're continuing to do outreach with like community groups and neighborhood associations. So that's not the only time to learn about it.
Would it be advisable for them to come on the 15th to Poodle Dog?
They could, yeah. Federal Way residents can go to any of the three for sure, and they're all relatively close. Plus, you get to go to the Poodle Dog, so that's a benefit.
Councilmember Dovey?
Yeah, as you talk about the delay and the redesign, it seems like it's the southern part past, 356 or there. Will the northern part of that link be built before that, sooner, so that goes through Belmore Park and through the area up until there? What's that construction phasing look like?
So the segment that is through Belmore Park down to the OMF South facility, which could be the project to be built, it hasn't been determined yet. That part would be built early if that project, the OMF South, is chosen in the Federal Way area. So that alignment would be built in advance of the TDLE project. As you continue that alignment down to the station area, that will still be built at the same time as the full TDLE alignment continuing south to Tacoma Dome at this point.
So there'll be construction for a very long period of time from the north to where the OMR, the yard is, and then it will pick up once the realignment gets figured out?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. One more question I forgot. The additional land that you need for the OMF South, have you informed the property owners of that?
Yeah, we've informed them that there has been a shift in the layout, and we're in communication with them. So they've been informed, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Most of the property owners, most of the newly, Kirby, correct me if I'm wrong, most of the newly impacted property owners on the 336 site were already in communication with us because they would have been impacted by the 344th site. So it's not the project isn't brand new to them, but we did inform them about this shift with the 336 site, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Norton?
Thank you. I had a question about 18th Place South. So it said something about, and I'm not sure if I misunderstood what you said. Could you please re-explain that? How you plan on utilizing the extension through 18th Place South, please?
Yes, the OMF South project will include an extension, if it's selected, at 336th. Currently, 20th Avenue would be replaced as it would go away, I would say that much. But to improve the throughput between 336th and 341st, we would extend 18th Place to provide that access, for example, for emergency service to connect between those two alignments, or stations, I should say, or streets, roads.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yeah, just one more question. When do you expect the board to make a final decision on the OMF South station?
Yes, as I was mentioning, the determination of who our federal partner is going to have, when we get clarity of who our federal partner is, that's going to help us understand the schedule better, and then that's when we'll know better when our board is going to select the project to be built. So we still don't have a real clear answer for you at this point, but I hope to have that information soon. So.
I mean, are we talking like 3 months, 6 months, 18 months, 10 years? You know, I mean, what?
Not 10 years and not 3 months.
Okay.
I would just add that, you know, it's really a real time. We're trying to figure it out, and the clock is ticking on our end because we still are aiming to meet the realignment delivery date for the project to open in 2029. We have a lot of new news to share on TDLE tonight, but it's kind of an awkward time on OMF South because this is being worked through. But once we know, we'll make sure to let you know, even if it's just an email from me to your staff and to you all, because we want to keep you informed.
All right, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Suffolk Dawson?
Yeah, so 18th Place South, when you extend it, it's not going to be for public use then?
Yeah,
It's just for emergency?
it would be an opportunity for public use
It
as
will.
well.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? And were there any questions of Kent about the Federal Way Link extension and the operations and maintenance facility?
It would be great if there could be just a statement about how the roads have all changed around there for that construction, because we're getting some
Sure.
questions. At least I'm getting questions from people, and I just know there's a lot of cones up and signs up, and how long it's gonna last.
Yes, so again, it's, so on 23rd Avenue South, it is closed except for northbound traffic in one lane up until 317th. So between 320th and 317th, there is single lane traffic just going north. 317th is maintained as a two-way traffic, so there's no impact there. And traffic is being routed around. If they're coming south on 23rd Avenue, they go through 316th over to Pete Van Rockbauer, and then they can continue on from there. So that's the change right now that should happen for until about mid-July. They expect to have it that way, and then they'll start to shift and add more lanes back to 23rd. And I believe the next section adds 2 lanes in both directions back to 23rd. But it's sort of a shift in how they move the traffic around in order to build the roundabout that will eventually go there.
So can people still use the on-ramp on I-5 for the,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, any other questions about that? All right, thank you, everybody. Great job.
Thanks for having us, and we'll be back soon, hopefully.
Very good. All right, thank you very much. All right, well, that concludes the business that we have for the special meeting, and we'll be adjourned until the regular city council meeting at 6:30.
Bye. Have